We are America, a nation founded on the universal humanitarian truths of individual freedom, multicultural coexistence, and respect for diversity. These are the values that made us a beacon of light amongst all other nations. We are the most diverse nation on Earth, and that's something worth celebrating. Today, maybe more than ever, we need another reminder of the noble ideals upon which our great nation was built.
3 years ago, a group of us, mostly Iranian Americans, got together with the idea of building a monument to freedom and inclusiveness. These are the universal human rights that the founding fathers had enshrined in the US Constitution. Our vision was to gift this to the city of Los Angeles, our new home, as a symbol of our gratitude for these shared ideals.
Designed by world-renowned artist Cecil Balmont, the Freedom sculpture evokes the Cyrus cylinder from ancient Persia. Widely recognized as the first declaration of these same human rights, a copy of which also sits in the United Nations as a permanent reminder that it was Cyrus, the great Persian king, who granted freedom and individualism to all he ruled over 2,500 years ago.
Well, this project has been a long time in the making. It took us years to gather the initial support, to commission the design, to finalize the location, and to get city approval to begin construction of the sculpture.
The sculpture measures 20 feet long by 15 feet high, made of high-polished stainless steel. The sculpture was designed to be enjoyed by both pedestrians and the over 100,000 vehicles that drive by that location on a daily basis.
Today, we're at the cusp of making this dream a reality. But we feel that such an iconic symbol of love and inclusiveness should be supported by as many different kinds of people as possible so it can belong to every one of us.
And what better place to build the Freedom sculpture for all humanity than right here in Los Angeles, one of the most culturally diverse cities in the world. In Los Angeles, the Freedom sculpture will be like the Statue of Liberty for the West Coast.
And like a modern-day Statue of Liberty, our goal is to get hundreds of thousands of Americans, people of all cultures, faiths, backgrounds, and beliefs, to support the creation of this monumental gift. So, together, we make a united and lasting statement for the ages.
We're now asking people to join us, to become a part of this project, and to add their name to Freedom Sculpture's permanent legacy.
دوستان عزیز، به برنامه مادر و کودک مامتاک علی خوش آمدید. من دکتر نلی فرنودی-زاهری هستم و در این بخش از برنامه در رابطه با The Freedom Sculpture، در رابطه با Multiculturalism، در رابطه با Mental Health، روانشناسی صلح و اون جهانی شدنی که در رابطه با Multiculturalism و ما بین فرهنگی هستش، یا اون علاقمندی که امروزه به خصوص نسل جوون ما نسبت به گلوبالیزیشن و فرا رفتن بر مرزها و جهانی فکر کردن و توجه کردن روی اون اصول و اساسی که در اصل به انسانیت، بشریت و بقای ما به عنوان یک انسان در هر کجا یا در هر فرهنگی که هستیم به اون کمک میکنه. فرهنگ فاوندیشن برنامه بسیار زیبایی رو در این 4 جولایی که گذشت اجرا کردند و من با خیلی از کسانی که اونجا بودند و شرکت کرده بودند و تجربه کردند این پروسه به اصطلاح برداشتن این یا باز شدن یا نشون دادن این سایرس سیلندر یا فریدم سکالپچر که مربوط هستش به منشور یا تندیس منشور کوروش، این رو با خیلیا صحبت کردم. خیلیا لایو استریم تماشا می‌کردن، خیلیا اونجا حضور داشتن و بحثی رو که در به اصطلاح بسیاری از این عزیزان یا دوستان در ته دلشون پیش اومد و به اصطلاح برداشتی که من کردم این بود که این از اون اوقاتی بود که واقعا به عنوان یک انسان به اصطلاح جهان یک فردی که بشری که نه فقط ایرانی هستند بلکه شاید از جاهای مختلف دنیا هستند، در اون لحظه احساس وحدت و یک وحدت سازنده و غرور می‌کردند به عنوان یک ایرانی آمریکایی، به عنوان یک ایرانی، به عنوان یک مکزیکی، به عنوان یک ایتالیایی، به عنوان یک آمریکایی. هویتشون اونجا اونقدر مطرح نبود که اون به اصطلاح اشتراک در این معیار و ارزش و باور و قبول کردن اینکه اولین منشور حقوق بشر که در اصل برمیگرده به تاریخچه به اصطلاح رهبری که بر اساس پیس لرنینگ و یا مهر، دانش و عشق و به اصطلاح خوبی پایه‌گذاری شده. این صحبت برنامه امروز ما خواهد بود در رابطه با mental health و اینکه ما چگونه میتونیم peace learning leadership و یا اون کارهایی رو که کسانی یا کوچک یا بزرگ کردن یا میکنند در اینجا شهر ما، شهر فرشتگان لس آنجلس و یا غیره، ازش یه برداشتی داشته باشیم، یه برداشت شاید بیشتر انتלקچوال و روانکاوی و روانشناختی داشته باشیم و فکر کردم برای این صحبت و به اصطلاح گفتگوی خودمونی چه کسی بهتر از دوست 20 ساله من که امروز خیلی خوشحال هستم با او این گفتگو رو داشته باشم. در 20 سال گذشته ما در یک انستیتوت، در یک مرکز مولتی کالچورال و جایی که اسمش لا فامیلیا بود، لا فامیلیا مولتی کالچورال سنتر، با این دوست عزیزم من آشنا شدم. ترینینگمون و به اصطلاح کارمون رو اونجا با هم شروع کردیم. ایشون از روانشناسان بسیار خوب شناخته شده لس آنجلس هستند در شهر بیورلی هیلز، خانم دکتر مونیکا Shahbaznia-Alvarez. Monica, Dr. Shahbaznia-Alvarez, it's a pleasure to have you on MomTalk.
Thank you so much.
My
for
dear
having
friend,
me here.
yes. I was just reflecting on our meeting about 20 years ago when we were babies.
20 years ago, absolutely.
Yeah, so we started off our training within the frame of multiculturalism and mental health and bringing this inclusivity, celebration of diversity within the family structure between cultures. I remember at the time we used to have some really rich, deep conversations because you have this beautiful multiculturalism background yourself and you speak Spanish. You're half Mexican, half Persian.
That's right.
And born and raised here in America.
Yes, here in Los Angeles.
In Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this. You just saw this promotion by Farhang Foundation regarding the Cyrus Cylinder or the Freedom Sculpture. What are your thoughts on it regarding the impact it could have on our community, the Iranian American community, our community in Los Angeles, our Angelinos?
Right.
Yeah, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think it's a wonderful moment in time. I think right now that so many people have concerns about the relationship between the United States and Iran, and it's not that it's new. This has been going on and off for decades, especially since just before the revolution in Iran in '79. And so I think that many people who had to come as refugees, as immigrants, probably didn't want to leave their homeland, came here, established themselves, had their families, just like all the other immigrants that have had to come here. Usually no one wants to leave their homeland. People love their culture, their food, their music, all the wonderful, their families, and so have to leave must be very challenging for immigrants. But I think that, we're talking about a sculpture that is designed in the image of an ancient cylinder created by, Cyrus the Great of Persia. And he really, I don't have too much history on it, but it sounds to me like he had very fundamental ideals about humanity and human rights And I think that is great that it's being celebrated today, and that it's being celebrated in such a passionate way by so many people. There was a huge crowd on the 4th of July here in Los Angeles to welcome and inaugurate this wonderful statue and its true symbol of freedom and, I think, communal ideals from around the world. I think that's one of the things that people may not sometimes understand, but I think it just in general, you talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and for human beings around the world, they need to feel safe and they need to feel like they are in a joint group, that they get their needs met, and a lot of that is just feeling respected and feeling protected and by not only their community but the neighboring communities. So you can talk about that from a micro level to a macro level. And here is this wonderful sculpture that arrives on one of our greatest avenues, Santa Monica Boulevard, and in the Century City. And how beautiful, because Century City is so symbolic of like the future, and on the West Coast, which is the last sort of domain of, the manifest destiny, if you will. So it's very symbolic. I think it's beautiful that they tried to create a symbol that it's not the replication, but it's sort of the West Coast concept of unity amongst the immigrant communities and families throughout the country, and representing shared values and ideals. I think it's great.
I think you're a child psychologist. I think whenever there's an opportunity, a peace learning opportunity within the family system, when you can have those deep, meaningful conversations, which we did with our children regarding the history of the Cyrus cylinder, what it meant to people then, how progressive Cyrus was, as a leader, how he focused on love and peace when he could have easily been one of the other tyrants and lead with fear. Right. And power. I think those conscious decisions or consciousness and leadership are great opportunities. And then when you have this grand, beautiful celebration with thousands and thousands of people come together, and I have to say, I was nervous because whenever we have a big crowd like this, especially given the atmosphere and what's going on in the world and how people feel, I was nervous, but to see it come to actualization, for it to be manifested, and this unveiling to be acknowledged by city leaders, city councilmen, by the mayor, and to just get such affirmation and love and joy, and the beautiful music for these musicians to come along and see people crying and weeping, and for people to say, we had goosebumps. Our goosebumps were having goosebumps. It was just so joyful and beautiful. And I'm so excited that we get to share this narrative with our children, the next generation. And I can't wait to have those encounters. Our children have not seen it yet, so I really hope to have a very special memorization to get a group of friends, the children, who can go on this field trip together.
That's wonderful.
And we're going to go and have those deep conversations, and we're going to really sit down and spend a lot of time with this beautiful freedom sculpture, because it's not just a glimpse of hope as we're driving through Santa Monica Boulevard and going from Santa Monica to Beverly Hills, but rather it has a very deep, meaningful global impact. And I hope that today, if you're watching and you haven't had a chance to see it, that you will put this on your calendar as a field trip, make an effort to go and really have a deep, heartfelt encounter with this freedom sculpture. Because this message of freedom, this message of peace, that we come from a heritage where our leaders, or one leader, really valued human rights, really valued what it means to be kind and warm-hearted. And he did it out of kindness. He did it out of compassion. He did it out of love. Yeah.
You know, I was also thinking about symbols, and I was thinking about how California is such a world power. We are the 6th economy of the world. And that is largely due to our immigrant population. We have an extremely hardworking workforce. We have many, many industries. I mean, you know, I think one of the sort of introductory industries, if you will, was gold mining. And everybody came with the gold rush of 1849, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And they panned for gold, and they were looking for gold, and finally they fetched all the gold out of the land, and what did they do? Did they weep and cry, oh, we need some government subsidies because we're mining for gold and we ran out of gold? No. They went on to create one of the largest banking systems, the entertainment industry, that we produce 75% of the country's agriculture. We are, you know, leaders in import and export by sea, by land, and by train. I mean, I could not tell you how proud I am of California for moving in this direction with its immigrant population. And I'll tell you another thing about symbols. We have, you talk about the Statue of Liberty on the East Coast. What do we have here? We have the Golden Gate. And we have something that connects. And now we have this symbol in the Southern California region of a cylinder that should be you know, decoded for us so that we could read it in a way. And what are we not having? Our Attorney General has stood up against the wall. So we have a bridge, and we have a cylinder, and we will not have a wall. Because that's not who we are. We are not those people here. We value the sovereignty of the United States. We value borders. We value that. But we also value connection. California's greatest economic partner is Mexico. You like avocados. Who doesn't?
Love avocados.
We love avocados. But we also have problems when it comes to illegal, you know, you know, a lot of other things are coming in that shouldn't be coming into our country. So we need to work really hard together with many of the communities and also adversaries that are bringing in toxic imported things that, you know, such as the drug trade. That's something that we need to look at too. So I really hope that people who don't get a chance to see a multicultural setting, let's say they live, you know, in the Midwest somewhere or in the South, and they live in a small, lovely, quaint town. And, you know, it's such a strange thing for them to imagine 140, you know, languages being spoken in your town. Every religion having its church and worship, place of worship. Every restaurant you can even imagine. We have everything here. And so I think we live in our own sort of echo chamber. And I think that in that respect, that is why probably the coastal cities became so progressive, so strong, because they were the gates to the immigrants that were coming in from Asia, from Europe, from the Middle East, from wherever. And we need to value that that's a strong concept, but also Middle America has their doubts, you know, and they don't understand why should we have this extra symbol? We have the Statue of Liberty, and even right now the Statue of Liberty is being questioned.
Symbolism, to talk about symbols, especially as they relate to peace learning, I think is our social responsibility, is our duty. So here we have an opportunity to talk about this symbol, the freedom sculpture. And if you're curious, if you're interested to get a little history on it, Farhang Foundation has put together a 2-minute cartoon clip, which I showed my kids and they loved it. And I think it's so great to share this with your children and youngsters. and to get this conversation, to join the conversation, to get the conversation going on the meaning, the value behind peace learning leadership. So if we could show this clip by Farhang Foundation, and then we will come back and continue our conversation regarding how this all ties into wellness, well-being, and mental health.
Okay, let's talk history and see where the basis of human rights originated from. Up until around 539 BC, human rights had no meaning, and the world only knew savagery and slavery. Until a new kind of ruler appeared in Persia called Cyrus the Great. Cyrus believed that it is better to be loved than feared, and so he respected people of all kinds, even those he conquered. So many joined the Persian Empire without a fight, like the people of Babylon. There he freed the slaves, many of whom were Jewish, and helped them return to their homeland to rebuild their temples and to practice their religion. 2,500 years ago, Cyrus made a historic proclamation of his views and laws on a clay cylinder known as the Cyrus Cylinder, which became known as the first declaration of human rights, religious tolerance, and individual freedom. Around 370 BC, Xenophon, a student of Socrates, wrote the book Cyropedia, an account of what made Cyrus an ideal ruler. Through this book, Cyrus's humanitarian ideals spread and influenced intellectuals all over the world, including the founding fathers of America, who owned multiple copies of the Cyropedia and who centered the U.S. Constitution on the same ideals of religious and individual freedom originated by Cyrus. In 1886, over 100,000 people, led by the French, helped create the Statue of Liberty, a symbolic gift that recognized America as the leading light for these ideals and of freedom around the world. And since 1971, a replica of the Cyrus Cylinder sits in the halls of the United Nations as a reminder of the importance of these same ideals to all humanity. In 2013, Farhang Foundation, a non-profit, non-religious, non-political cultural organization, partnered with the Getty Museum and other cultural organizations to bring the Cyrus Cylinder from the British Museum to Los Angeles, where it became the most visited exhibition in the museum's history. On the strength of this reception, Farhang decided to commission a permanent landmark called Freedom, a Shared Dream, to celebrate the shared humanitarian and multicultural ideals that originated from Cyrus, the great king of Persia, and inspired the founding fathers of America. Once built, this monument to freedom and coexistence will be officially gifted to stand in the heart of the city of Los Angeles as a permanent reminder of our shared humanity. Farhang's goal is to inspire over 100,000 people to support the creation of this monument. So we become just the second example in history where this many people got together to create and gift a monumental symbol to freedom as a shared cultural value. Imagine that. Then add your support, like our Facebook page, and tell your friends.
So like their Facebook page, Freedom Sculpture on Facebook, or Farhang Foundation. They are the second largest group of folks who got together and decided to gift something monumental, something of value and meaning. And it's massive, it's beautiful, it's golden, it has a great location. You will see it, you can't miss it if you're driving down Santa Monica, either headed east or west or, whichever, you can't miss it. It's gorgeous.
If you're going shopping to the
That's
Westfield
right.
Mall.
If you're going shopping, take a look on your right if you're going towards the shopping mall, and you can't miss it. But also, like I said, it's really, really wonderful to add this to one of your field trips. And I think schools, it would be great for schools to have this as a field trip where they can go and witness this beautiful sculpture, celebrate its first year, and also be part of the community. So you can join their website, you can join the Freedom Sculpture, you can contribute as little as $5 if you want to be added to the group of contributors and join this conversation. It's very valuable, it's wonderful. I think the way Farhang Foundation organized it and gifted and celebrated and had this unveiling ceremony was just brilliant. It was fun, it was wonderful and peaceful, right?
Yes.
To have over 70,000 people gather together in a pretty small space, and to have it go so beautifully and peacefully, and to have fireworks and music and food and celebration and people just going live and live streaming and celebrating and joining in forces for peace learning is such a gift and beauty to humanity. So thank you, Farhang Foundation. Thank you, this group of brilliant leaders who have spearheaded this movement for peace and for our cultural heritage preservation, and also as Iranian Americans who, honestly, I think many will say that they felt a lot of pride, and this is where pride and feeling proud has a healing impact on your identity and integration of who you are with your bicultural multiculturalism.
Right.
Because we deal with a lot of shame. We deal, I don't know about you, but oftentimes when the conversation are so negative and we're the axis of evil and we're, the biggest enemy, the biggest enemy. It doesn't feel comfortable. How do you, maybe I can intellectually break it down and at some point have conscious awareness and be at peace with it. But then for kids, for children, I remember watching HRC, Hillary Clinton's speech, and when that came up, Cammie, our daughter, she looked at me and she said, "Mom, are we like enemies to America, to the U.S.?" And there was a huge pause and confusion on her face that, of course, I had to take time and explain and work through. But it is part of our the daily conversation, the media, and what's reflected on TV and stories. And so when we have a narrative like this where there's a healing impact and we can really talk about the goodness and the potential peace learning leadership that is behind this ancient wisdom from our country, I think it's fabulous.
I think you're completely right. And here's the next generation of children who feel concerned about, are they part of this hatred of America, axis of evil?
Right.
Yeah. When you and I were girls, when we were very little, there was the unfortunate hostage crisis. And the revolution was going on in Iran. It was 1979. Jimmy Carter was president. And I vividly remember as a little girl feeling there's a lot of tension. People would ask me my last name and they would ask about where that was from and would feel very off-putting. And I remember thinking, listen, I had nothing to do with it. I'm 6 years old. I really had very little input on the hostage crisis. Right. My dad had nothing to do with it, so why am I being sort of tossed into this big vat of bad people? You watched it on the news all the time. They were showing the revolution on the news. They were showing the hostages on the news. And there was a lot of the political climate was so thick. There was an election year. Ronald Reagan was running for president. I vividly remember that, and it's the same thing has happened again. Here we go with, elections in Iran, elections in the United States, and sanctions lifted from Iran, and now sanctions being put back on Iran, money returned to Iran after it was taken away. Many Americans not knowing where that money, what's the origin of that money, not knowing that it belonged to the people. And that many people, families, lost billions of dollars. And so that money needed to be returned. When you talk about connection and mental health and the idea of feeling connected to yourself, your child, Cammie, or you or me, when we were girls, this is a moment of identity formation. And when you're forming your identity while you're trying to make sure that people don't think you're the enemy, that's a tough one in our country, because many people have had to go through that. The Irish had to go through that. Catholics had to go through that. The Italians, the Slavs, everybody had to go through that. The Russians, all the Eastern Bloc countries, once they started immigrating over, there have been waves of immigration that have come into the United States that have put off those that have already kept roots in the United States, meaning the English immigrants and whatnot. And those that immigrated from England left because of they wanted religious freedom. And so we need to protect religious freedom as well. We need to remind everybody that, that's the whole reason why people got onto the Mayflower, was because they wanted to establish a colony where they could worship the way they wanted to worship. And that was one of the leading ideals of the foundation of our democracy by those who were our founding forefathers. The freedom of speech, the freedom of religion, the freedom of press. And those things are on attack right now. And so I'm so glad you're part of the media. Because
I'm
you're
so
really
glad
helping.
you're here and we're having this conversation. It's all about consciousness, awareness of awareness,
Yes.
and bringing this into your homes from the inside out, bottom up. I think you'll be amazed when you start those conversations with your children, as many of you do, I know, on a daily basis. And the wisdom, the beauty, the grace, everything that cultivates from this peace learning journey and engaging, taking a chance and risking it and asking those hard questions. I remember when the 50-50 Day documentary was airing and we were getting ready for that international celebration of equity, equanimity. I watched it with the kids, and children are amazing. They're so conscious, so aware, especially nowadays, I think, because parents, we're more aware and we're trying to implement consciousness and peace learning. That you'll be surprised of the content and the process, the working through process. It's very therapeutic. It's always been very therapeutic for myself because I like giving them enough space and freedom for them to reflect, and it helps me understand their inner core beliefs and values. And as you know, children are so pure. They're gifted with this beauty, this innocence, this love, unconditional love. So you want to know about consciousness, you want to know about unconditional love, you want to know about peace learning, give your child or children an opportunity to talk, to join conversations, to give ideas, to reflect on the freedom sculpture. I think these are great opportunities to learn, to have shared narratives, and for us to frankly go through a corrective experience, because it's very healing.
Absolutely.
It's very healing.
And children are taught to hate. They were born loving.
Right.
They are born loving. They look at their mother and their father and their primary caregiver for the first time. They've got the 12-inch, connection. And they just start connecting and bonding. Why? Because they need to survive.
Right.
Because that is the way that a human baby survives, is by becoming adoring to the mother or the father or the provider. So their first instinct is to be lovable and to love and bond. It is never to hate. Do we have children who have a hard time with, regulation? Absolutely. Do we have children who have a hard time making connections and having interpersonal relationships? Absolutely. That needs to be supported and structured around them. But too often we bring hateful messages into our homes. It may not have anything to do with the immigrant, but it might have to do with your coworker. You're frustrated with your boss, or you were in a traffic accident and this guy hit your car and now you're mad at him. And when we bring in frustration, we bring in pain, we bring in our own inability to function with challenges, and we bring in fear. When you talk about peace learning, the opposite is fear, because the opposite of anything positive is fear. Or you look at anything negative, discrimination, racism, suspicion, and you feel jealous. Just scratch the surface a little bit. What do you see? Fear. Racism, the fear of the other. Sexism, the fear of the other. So we owe it to our children as parents, as the older generation, as the wiser one, to say, don't be afraid. Don't cause fear. be the peacemaker. You know, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall inherit the earth, right?
That's right.
And so I think that that's what the symbolism is so much about. And, you know, doesn't all of that provide us with hope? And I think without hope, we go into other mental illness like depression, anxiety, children who feel helpless and hopeless, who are afraid. That is depression and anxiety.
That's right. I'm going to take a moment to translate some of the highlights from this segment with Dr. Monica Shahbaznia-Alvarez. And we've been talking about دوستان در رابطه با the freedom sculpture و به اصطلاح این تندیس منشور کوروش صحبت می‌کنیم. این به اصطلاح مجسمه‌ای که در شهر سنتری سیتی سانتا مونیکا قرار گرفته و به اصطلاح پرده برداری شد و هزاران و هزار ملت چه ایرانی چه غیر ایرانی آنجا شاهد این پرده برداری بودند و جشن گرفتند و این به اصطلاح ریشه عمیق تاریخی ما که مربوط میشه به حمایت و دفاع از حقوق بشر، تساوی حقوق بشر و به اصطلاح همین PeaceLearning، آموزش صلح یا داشتن آگاهی در رابطه با پرورش صلح در رهبری، اینها همه از اون نکات بسیار ظریفی هستش که در این به اصطلاح منشور حقوق بشر، اولین منشور حقوق بشر در اصل ما میبینیم، شاهدش هستیم و بعد صحبت کردیم از اینکه چقدر خوب هستش که در رابطه با گفتگوها، صحبتایی که با بچه هامون، با نوجوانانمون داریم، کودکان فیلد تریپ یا گرد همایی هایی داشته باشیم که اونجا بریم بچه ها ببینن از نزدیک، چون در اون شب انقدر شلوغ بود و انقدر به اصطلاح تاریک، بعدها که تاریک‌تر شد برای خیلی‌ها به خصوص کوچولوترها سخت بود که شاهد باشن یا از نزدیک مشاهده بکنن. برای همین به عنوان مادر و پدرانی که آگاه هستند و کانشس پرنتینگ رو در شیوه پرورش مادر و پدریشون استفاده می‌کنن، بخشی از این پرورش صلح بر این اساسه که این گفتگوها رو با بچه‌هامون، با کودکان و نوجوانانمون داشته باشیم، اونها رو ببریم. این کلیپ‌های به اصطلاح جالبی که خود فرهنگ فاوندیشن و یا این به اصطلاح The Freedom Sculpture تهیه کرده روی فیسبوک پیجشون هست، میتونین عضو بشین، اونها رو با بچه هاتون میتونین تماشا بکنین، در رابطه با اون چیزی که میبینن باهاشون صحبت بکنین و بخشی از اون آموزش پرورش صلح و تاریخچه‌ای که ما داریم که چقدر متمدن هستش، چقدر توأم با افتخار هستش و رهبری که در اصل PeaceLearning لیدرشپ ریشش برمیگرده به این رهبری کوروش کبیر که ما میتونیم خیلی افتخار بهش بکنیم و خیلی از ماها رو میتونه در کنار هم به اصطلاح همدل و همکار و همفکر رو با هم وحدت به وجود بیاره. در هر صورت صحبت‌های دیگه‌ای که با خانم مانیکا، دکتر مانیکا شهبازنیا-آلورز داشتیم در رابطه با منتال هلت و پرورش ارتقاء شاید سلامت روح و روان یا روانشناختی بودش و در این چارچوب در رابطه با هویت صحبت کردیم، اینکه چقدر مهمه هویتمون رو، اون ابعاد گوناگونش به خصوص به عنوان یک ایرانی آمریکایی و شاید در خیلی از کیسا خانم دکتر مانیکا شهبازنیا 3 هویت دارن، مادرشون مال مکزیکو هستن، پدرشون ایرانی هستن، اینجا بزرگ شده، اینجا لس آنجلس هستن و وقتی که ما این هویت رو دربارش صحبت می‌کنیم، تضادهایی که در اون ابعاد هویت منفیمون، شاید بخشی از اون هویتمون که یک بار منفی داره، مثل برای خیلی از ایرانی‌ها یا ماها که ایرانی آمریکایی هستیم، وقتی در تلویزیون می‌بینیم که حرف در رابطه با تروریسم هستش، در رابطه با به اصطلاح ترافل بن هستش و این مهرهای خیلی منفی روی این هویت ما زده میشه، اون صحبت‌ها میتونه شاید رشد و پرورش رشد هویت کودکان و نوجوانانمون رو تاثیر منفی بذاره و خب ما به عنوان یک مادر و پدر آگاه مسئول هستیم که در اون چارچوب با اونا صحبت بکنیم، کمکشون بکنیم که اون شاید سالهایی که دارن، اون پیچیدگی فکری که براشون به وجود میاد به خاطر این پیام‌های منفی که میشنون، اونا رو براشون، این گره های فکری رو براشون باز بکنیم که اینها راحت‌تر بتونن برداشت داشته باشن از اون ابعاد و بخشای مثبت هویتشون و اعتماد به نفس و به اصطلاح هویتشون رو یا حرمت نفسشون رو یا اون self compassion رو درشون پرورش بدیم. It's such an important topic to bring in the self-compassion, the awareness of self-compassion when it comes to perhaps, the global citizenship, the role we have as global citizens.
Yeah.
And I think
that's so true.
Especially for this generation, this next generation, because they're part of this global citizenship, being a go global child, traveler, in schools we celebrated, enrichment programs they celebrated, children know about it, they do it, they're travelers, they're voyagers. This concept of global citizenship is a big part of our kids' identity. And so to really tie that in and to create more opportunities for them to feel the multiculturalism within them is such a gift. It's such a PeaceLearning gift experience that you can give to your children, and it ties into self-compassion, which is such a big part of mental health. Yes. So you want to find healthy teachers or clinicians or physicians or spouses, find those caretakers who score high on the self-compassion questionnaire. And if you are curious about this, you can go to Dr. Christine Neff's website, selfcompassion.org, and take this questionnaire. I take it on a regular basis because I like to be aware.
I want that.
Yes,
I
yes.
get that questionnaire.
Yes. We will take it together, and then you can kind of discuss it, and you can look at the different aspects of yourself that perhaps, for me, it's always interesting. When I'm really busy and I'm taking care of the family and extended family, and I'm paying attention externally to more stuff externally, I always score really low. So it's a good reminder, and I have to kind of pull it in and take those deep breaths and continue on my meditation and my self-awareness, and to know that peace starts within me, and it's an inside-out process. So if I'm not feeling compassion towards myself, there's no way that I'm being compassionate towards you. And so being really aware of that, and our children, to gift that to our children so that they have awareness. And like I say, if you're a teacher, if you're a practitioner, if you're a therapist, if you're a mom, if you're a dad, take this questionnaire and have insight into your tendencies. And I think it will also be a good objective tool to work on yourself, to improve on your wellness, your well-being, and your peace within.
Because we can always grow and evolve and become stronger and better role models for our children. And the idea of the global citizen as a child is extremely empowering for children, especially when they feel confused about all of us and the parents around and the adults, when they hear on the news about, you said, the travel ban, the wall, building the wall, and all of these really fear-mongering messages. How about bridges? How about cylinders? How about openness and safety and protection? And I value so much what you're doing with PeaceLearning. That's so beautiful, and that's so wonderful that you're connecting with the schools with that and really looking at Los Angeles. I wish we could take this message more to the smaller towns. Los Angeles, we're so in it, we're so involved in it, and we see this. Not that we can't learn. and we can evolve.
Let's do this.
But
let's start a tour.
Let's do it.
Cross-country tour with Nelly and Monica.
Globalization tour. I'm sure it'll go over really well.
I always wanted to take a road trip with you.
So let's do it. Our 20th anniversary road trip. That's right.
It'll be our opportunity to spread peace.
Absolutely.
And you, I have to say, my dear, one of my favorite clinicians. I'm always referring to Dr. Monica. You know those families who are out there. And the reason why I love you and I care about you so much is because of who you are. Kind of that inside-out process.
I feel the same way about you.
And I felt that from the moment I met you. I remember we hit it off. It was one of those soul sister type of connections, and we've been in touch. It's been 20 years.
This month.
Yeah, this
20
month.
years this month. Yeah.
And that's awesome. I love that we don't just keep mental health practices or services just in the office, that it goes beyond. And I know you do media work, and I know you've been involved with programs and productions, and just bringing the crafts of psychotherapy and well-being and wellness and mental health into your homes through this beautiful medium of the media. And it's beautiful to share this together.
Is a big gift to your viewers. That is a wonderful thing that you're doing by providing this acknowledgement, not only of this particular sculpture, the Freedom Sculpture today, but also of all the messages that you bring for peace learning and the self and the connection, and not just being selfish but selfless, and looking out for the self in the other. So thank you, Dr. Nelly.
Thank
for
you.
all
Thank you.
do.
And let's do this. I like to challenge us, the two of us, to get a group of kids together. So Dr. Monica and I are going to get a group of kids together. Okay. We're going to go on a field trip to the Freedom Sculpture. Yes. And we're going to interview these kids. We're going to let these kids experience what it's like to have this face-to-face encounter and listen to their stories. You're a great storyteller, so I can't wait to have that. And we'll
I come from an ancient line of storytellers. So
that's right. That's right. That's right. So much love to all of you. Thank you for joining us today on Mom Talk. Until next time, mwah.